News headlines for Easter Sunday now on BBC One with Sean Lay.
Hello, very good afternoon this Easter Sunday. North Korea has made a failed attempt to test launch a missile a day after warning the United States that it was ready to hit back with nuclear attacks amid rising tensions in the region. The US military said the missile blew up almost immediately after launch as Mike Pence, the US Vice President, was heading to South Korea. After he arrived, Mr. Pence said the commitment of the United States to its alliance with South Korea had never been stronger. From Seoul, the capital, Steve Evans sent this report.
The American Vice President visited South Korea's National Cemetery, where the names of 104,000 soldiers who died fighting North Korea nearly 70 years ago are listed. Mr. Pence knows this history because his father served in that war. His big message now, the alliance remains.
This morning's provocation from the North is just the latest reminder of the risks each one of you face every day in the defense of the freedom of the people of South Korea and the defense of America in this part of the world.
He landed a day after a fearsome display of weaponry 100 miles to the north in Pyongyang. But as though to undermine that image, North Korea today tried and failed to fire off a missile. US officials said the launch came from the Sinpo region, the second such launch from land in that area, which also has a submarine base. Talk of war is now ramping up. It's not clear, though, if Mr. Trump has decided on attacking North Korean nuclear facilities. South Koreans are watching developments closely. 25 million South Koreans live within range of North Korean artillery. All the same, South Koreans tend to assume war will not happen. Life goes on.
All Mr. Trump's predecessors from Clinton onwards have contemplated military action. Mr. Clinton contemplated bombing North Korea's nuclear facilities and pulled back because the threat of retaliation would probably bring on a second Korean War.
Mr. Trump may or may not be like the presidents before him. He says he's not. In a complex situation of great danger, he's the new unknown factor. His attitude to risk and military action is hard to gauge. Stephen Evans, BBC News, Seoul.
Well, our correspondent John Sudworth is in North Korea's capital, Pyongyang. Earlier, he gave his assessment of the situation, and his movements are being monitored and tightly controlled.
In many regards, this is business as usual for North Korea. It has long used brinkmanship and tension to up the ante and then win diplomatic and economic concessions as it steps back from the brink. But with each cycle moving one step closer towards its goal of becoming a fully fledged nuclear power. What's new in all this is not what's happening in this capital, but in Washington, of course. But it seems that North Korea's actions suggest that it is confident that President Donald Trump will, like his predecessors before him, eventually conclude that the cost of military action is simply too great.
John Sudworth in the North Korean capital, Pyongyang.